Hello and welcome to another episode of Creating Powerful Impact. I'm your host, Shay Wheat, founder of Grace and Ease Productions, where we support entrepreneurs just like you with event-based marketing and sales strategies, allowing you to build your authority, your credibility, and your visibility in your industry. And today's guest is, okay, little known secret, or maybe not known yet, but now you're gonna know, is Amy's actually a self-made millionaire and she owns multiple successful businesses. Now, her passion is actually in helping women step into their power and create lives and businesses that they love. Yes, please. She has fought for her success. She's had a number of challenges, including divorce, being a broke single mom, and some deep betrayal trauma that has really pushed her through the hard in order to create the life that really she used to only dream of. And now she loves to show and teach women what's possible for them when they choose themselves and they dream big. Please help me welcome Amy to the Creating Powerful Impact stage. How are you, Amy?
I'm good. And thank you so much for that intro. I'm like, well, you guys know everything. I think we can wrap up now. That's it.
No, we do not know everything
I'm just kidding.
because
I'm just kidding.
it's
But
like,
yeah, thank you for the
how
amazing.
well, you're very welcome. I think it's important, for people to know, okay, great. She knows what she's talking about. She's come from the depths, but how the heck do we bridge the gap? That's what I think everybody
Ah,
wants to know, right? Because that's
yes.
the juicy bits. Because, I mean, frankly, some of our listeners right now might be like, yep, Amy, I'm in it. I'm in it right now. And it's like a whole lot of not excitingness at the moment. Help.
Right.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, I would love for you to kind of share maybe a little bit about your journey.
Yeah.
How do you even then start to get out of the huh part of life? Because it never really goes away. Like, right, you kind of do this roller coaster in life. And so maybe you have some like pointers for us to kind of like pull us out if we're in it. And then I'll have some more questions for you as we dive in deeper.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. So yes, when you said that we're always kind of in it, that's true, right? It's all about how you're always going to be kind of in it. And when you feel like you're out of it and you feel like you're scaling, which I'll talk about today, you're like, oh, I'm doing so awesome. Then all of a sudden something blindsides you and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming, and you have to deal with that too. So I am uber passionate. Like I can't even explain how passionate I am about showing women what's possible because I think women are the most incredible human beings and we sell ourselves short in so many ways. And some of this is just, the history, the way that we have been programmed, all the different things. And so if I can inspire even one woman on this podcast, I feel like my work is done here. So let me go to back a little bit to my story. I was taught at a very young age. My parents, bless their hearts, they did the best they could with what they had. They came from crazy backgrounds and they married each other. And so they came with, a lot of unhealed trauma, unhealed whatever you want to call it. And they didn't really work on themselves. And I think back then it wasn't even much of a thing anyway. And so now what do? They decide to have 7 children. And I am number 5 of 7.
That's a lot of children.
It's a lot of children, but this is what they do. And they both did not come from religious backgrounds, but then they joined one and then they went really extreme. Now, my point is, I was taught at a very young age to say yes no matter what, especially because I'm female.
Mm.
Do not ask for anything. And when you do, the answer is usually going to be no, but say yes to everything. I became the world's best people pleaser. I was so good at saying yes, but also so good at self-betrayal. I was like, had an A+ in all of it, including marrying a guy I knew that I should not marry. I had come so far away from myself and what I actually wanted that my body would even talk to me. I do a lot with the body too, just within my work, because it's so important. But uh, he proposed after 3 weeks
Wow.
and I said yes.
Because
My
you
body,
say yes, because that's what you were, brought up to
that's
do.
what I'm
You say
trained to
yes.
do. But
Yeah.
before I said yes, what I said was, okay. So I left him on his knee. He was sitting on, I was completely shocked. I was like, what? Like, what is happening right now? And he's on his knee and I'm looking at him and I'm like, my body's freaking out. My tummy is in knots. My heart's racing, not because I'm so excited, but because I am legit freaking out and my body's screaming, do not do this.
Mm.
And what I do as he's sitting on his knees, I say, well, did you ask my dad? And he's like, yeah, he said yes, which I'm like, I think my dad's met you like twice. It's been 3 weeks and I don't live at home, right?
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. That was my answer. Anyway, so I like to tell that story because that is how far away from myself I was and my own self-worth and my own self-trust, that I just said yes no matter what. And
Mhm.
that people pleasing continued into this marriage. I was married for 11 years. We never had a lot of money. I always felt like there was more out there for me. But again, you know, I put him through school. I did everything else for everyone else, which I think a lot of women do. But I still had this yearning inside me. And I was like, okay, this isn't it. And I was always into entrepreneurship. So I would create little things that bring in a little bit of money, you know, and that would excite me. But I also did it when I had nothing else to do. Like he was taken care of, the kids were taken care of, my friends, whatever it was. It's like, okay, now I'll focus on what I want for the next 2 minutes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the backstory. Finally, the minute that I felt like I could not go one more day in that marriage, I actually stayed for 5 more years. And that was because of the religion that I was brought up in. You do not divorce. If you make this commitment, you make it forever. This commitment is more important than your happiness. You know, now I see things very differently, but I looked at those little kids and I looked at myself. I was like, okay, if I do believe in a God, do I believe that he actually wants this life for me? Do I actually believe that he's like, yes, what you're worthy of is someone who mistreats you forever and you're not happy. That's what you're worthy of. I was like, I actually don't think if there is a God that that's what he wants for me. And so that's really where I started digging deep and I, you know, jumped into self-help and whatever. But like the stuff in between my ears was no bueno. It was not good. The stuff I
Mm-hmm.
would tell myself, the stuff he was telling me. I was a fitness instructor and I would go, and I think that really did save me. I'd go teach these classes and I was well known in my area. And so there was a wait list. People loved me. They said I motivated them. And that like, and I have always loved motivating women. It's just like in me, but that kept me going. Like, I'm like, all these people see me differently than he does, or than my dad does. And I started doing the questioning, like, what works? What do I believe about myself? What can I believe in myself? You know? And
Mm-hmm.
so from there, I left. I became even more broke than I was before. And I like to talk about that because a lot of people have the like rags to riches story, like, oh, rags to riches. And they really pose that story. And I was like, no, guys, like I got $1,000 from him a month and I made $1,000 on my own a month. Do the math with 3 children in America. That's $24,000 that I was bringing in to support myself and 3 littles. That is broke. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is very hard. And I had pride, so I wasn't signing up for like government programs or anything. I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I can figure this out on my own. Anyway, so
I'm
that's what
smart. I can figure it out.
I'm smart. I can figure out. I don't need that, right? And so when I talk about like muscling, and that was just like a low point in my life at that point where I was like, okay, so I left this marriage. Now I am completely judged. A lot of people that were my friends aren't, because I did something that you don't do, which is walk away from this marriage and that religion. That's not okay. And I really had to start to learn to trust myself. And that's where a lot of my work is. I do a ton of work around teaching women what is possible for them, showing them that you can, and showing them that it is one step at a time. And there are processes that help with your success. We'll talk about that too, I'm sure. But it's understanding that you are the one that has to have your own back. And you
Mm-hmm.
need to learn how to have it. Other people will have it in your life too, but they're never going to believe in you the way you can believe in yourself. Like other people, I believe in you. And I'm sure that they do. But for you to like realize that dream that's on your heart, at least for me, it's like you truly have to move into that self-belief and that self-trust, which is the thing I lacked the most, which is why I like to tell that story. It's like I said yes to marriage after 3 weeks and I didn't want to.
Yeah,
That's
well,
how,
there were so many pieces in there because your body was screaming, right?
yeah,
And our body, especially as women, like we can tune into that, and it's a huge indicator, at least for like me growing up. I don't know if you've ever heard of Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life.
yeah,
But
yeah,
in there, it's like in the back, it's like, problems in your body and the probable cause and the new thought pattern, right? And it's just like it was so like kind of like a Bible essentially to me, where I'm
mhm,
like, what's going on in my body? What does it mean? And then I can go and look at it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so your body talks to you and it actually supports you in keeping you safe and making you aware, is what I'm hearing you also say.
Yeah. And I mean, I preached that. I'm like, hallelujah, yes. Because your body does. And my body back then was trying to, but I wasn't listening.
Yeah,
And it continually does. And it's like now I tune in and I listen and I teach women how to listen too. It's
yeah.
like your soul is really, really, really old, right? But our bodies are not so old and our
Mm.
brains are crazy town. Like our brains like to bring us all of the crazy things. And we're like, oh yeah, I guess that sounds good. I guess it's true. It's like, it's not true. Question it. Even if someone else says, does that mean it's true for you? Not necessarily. And that's what I had to do is like, there was a time. So when I had left my ex-husband and it was like in the new phases of separation, my dad came over to my house. He sat down. He's like, I need to give you some motherly or no, fatherly counsel is what he called it.
Yeah.
Go back to him. I know and this is legit true, guys. This truly happened. And I do love my dad, but I still cannot believe that these words came out of his mouth. So I was like, I just need some comfort tonight. I asked him to come over. I was like, I am really struggling tonight. And so he came over. I need to give you some fatherly counsel. He sat me down at my kitchen table and he says, you need to go back to your husband and stop being so ridiculous and so selfish. I know he doesn't treat you well, and he never will, but you are baggage. You have 3 kids, your baggage, you will never remarry, and you will struggle the rest of your life. He will go on to remarry and he will have another life, but you need to go back to him. This is legit what my dad told me. At that moment, and this is the thing, is I was a big people pleaser. I'm like, okay, dad, okay, right? At that moment was like a turning point for me because I go, I'm okay. I started bawling. I was like a freaking disaster, but I was like, the door's over there, get out. And I was so proud of myself. Like, I was like, no, that is not how women should be treated ever.
Mm-hmm.
And we have so much to give, but a lot of times we just are like, okay, maybe, all right. At that point, I sent him to the door. I was like, get out of my house. And he did. And that was, I think, just another pivotal point where I was like, I had a voice and actually used it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it sounds like the listening to your body and having the voice actually start to show up and have your own personality start to shine through,
Yeah.
is kind of like the stepping stones that then you just continue to build upon and now support other women in doing the same. Would you mind talk a little bit about, you kind of touched a bit on the imposter syndrome part,
Yeah.
because I think I feel that everybody has it in some form, right? Like that's also something that kind of will never go away, regardless of what level you hit in life and in business, right?
Mhm.
Because at least, for me, when I started, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And then you're like, oh, I actually have success in this. And then you get to the next level and like, should I be sitting at this table with these people? I don't know. I feel weird. Like, so talk to us a little bit about imposter syndrome and like how do we continue to move through it to create the success we desire in life and business.
I love this question. And you're absolutely right that I think every single person, as they venture in something new, whatever new means, but especially in entrepreneurship, you're going to feel it. I mean, even if you go get a new job and you're not into entrepreneurship, you're going to show up and you're going to feel that, right? I like to teach, and I say this all the time, that the cave you fear holds the treasure you seek. And that is something that helps me get through. It's like, yeah, this is going to be scary and this is not going to feel good. It's going to come up. You are going to be challenged. But guess what? As you have some grit and as you just say, okay, so what can I do right now? Like I look for what can I do differently right now? and just take a little bit of action. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs just like action, action, go, 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 go. It's like, no, what if you can take action while still staying in your feminine energy and tuning into your body? Like, what if you can do all that together and listen? Because you are going to be guided. Your soul is old. I'll say that over and over. But when you feel that imposter syndrome, if you just understand, okay, yeah, this doesn't feel good, but also it's just a feeling. It's not like you're dying. It's not like you're falling off a cliff. It's not like someone has a gun up to your head. It's like you're just not feeling very good. It just doesn't feel comfortable, right? But when we get uncomfortable and we prove to ourselves that we can, and we take back that little bit of power, it fuels us for the next step. And so, I haven't really gone into like my businesses yet, but it's like all of that other stuff I've talked about is what paved the path for me to be like, okay, like when I left my ex-husband, I had no idea how I was going to make it financially. Right. But I was like, okay, but where I feel now, this is worse than not moving forward. And so I moved forward, and I had imposter syndrome about being a single mom. That had nothing to do with business. But with business, it's like, it'll come up every level you are at.
Yeah.
Is this okay that I just made this much? Is this okay? No, this isn't, I can't do this again. Can I do this?
So let's dive into the money more, Amy.
Yeah.
So, because there's tons of all kinds of energy around making money, earning money,
Yes.
keeping money, a lot of money.
Yeah.
Dive in, go. Tell
Dive
me,
in,
tell
go.
me about
Okay.
it. Like, let's go through,
Well,
let's get into this. Let's actually talk about the money stuff.
okay. Well, first of all, I'm very big into energetics, if you can't tell already. And energy is flowing all the time, whether you believe it or not, it's science, right? And money is no different. And so if you're focused on money and you're focused, like if you're focused on money being hard, it's going to be hard. If you're focused on clients, it's really hard to get clients, that is going to show up for you. But if you focus on the opposite, like it's coming to me all the time and it's coming in all the ways, then, and you become aware, then you open up that money channel, sort of, so to speak, for it to bless you more. And I'm a huge believer that the more you bless other people, the more you're going to be blessed. The more you get your voice out there, it also comes back to you. It's energy exchange, it's going back and forth. So when it comes to money, if you have all kinds of different beliefs around money, you do have to heal those, which that is my free gift. We're going to talk about that, right?
Oh, good. Yes.
But that gift is about helping you heal these money blocks, because if you don't actually believe it's true for you, that this can happen for you, it's not going to happen for you. But every single time you hit a certain money point, again, that imposter syndrome, combining it with money, that will show up for you. Is this okay? Is this going to happen again?
Yeah.
How do I deal with this? I remember the very first time I had like even like $10,000 in the bank. I mean, there's part of me that felt so rich, and there was part of me that was like, because I had a lot of money beliefs that I had not healed, that like it wasn't okay. Like, do I need to spend it? Like, what do I need to do with this money? Like,
Right. So that self-sabotage starts to come in, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I don't deserve it. Let me go ahead and like spend it. Or a tax bill comes in, right?
Yeah.
Because energetically you're putting out there, oh, maybe I don't deserve it. So the universe, the God puts in the, oh, okay, great. Well, let me go ahead and move this on for you then. You're like,
Yeah.
wait.
Let's just move this, and God's going to bless you with what you can handle and what he can trust you with. And so, as you earn more money, it gets uncomfortable. And every single time I hit a new level, it's uncomfortable. Every single time I make a big move, like rental properties, I bought a $1 million rental property. That one was so scary. I had to put a down payment of like over 200 grand out of I was like, here's 200 grand. That was so scary. And people might be listening to this being like, I don't know if I can ever do that. Yes, you can. On the other side, that was scary. And my imposter syndrome came up. But like smaller properties that I would invest in, it was like no big deal. Okay. But it used to be a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It's like it all builds on each other.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can show yourself like, okay, no, this is okay. There's nothing wrong with this. And money actually blesses a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
I am worth it. And if you have it on your heart, then I think that's your soul telling you that you can do it. It's like, if it's there, whatever that dream is, it's like, go realize that. But money, once you heal a lot of those money energies and those like money beliefs that you have, which a lot of times came just from someone else telling you that, I came from a very scarcity family, and guess what? And I told you, my parents had 7 kids. 9 people. I'm one of 9. All of them still struggle with money beliefs, every single one of them.
Mm.
And I try and help my siblings, but you can only help someone who is ready to help themselves, right? I was like, guys, you can live differently. But it is amazing energetically when you start to feel like, oh, this is okay. And it is okay. And you
Yeah, it's
have,
kind of like a new what would you call it? Like a new set point for yourself,
yeah,
right? Because, in the beginning, you're like, oh my God, somebody actually paid me $500. And
yeah,
now, then you keep building and building and building throughout the years. And then you're like, oh my God, somebody's paying me $30,000, to essentially do the same thing. I mean, obviously, you're adding more value and you're adding more things to it, and you've got more behind you, and your expertise has grown and all of those details. But it's like your money set point changes
it
as
changed.
you.
And I love what you just said. And I want to pause you because you just gave all these reasons why it's okay.
Mm,
So you're already doing so much better because you're like, well, I have added more value and I have grown. And so there is like, that does increase your value, which means what you're paid can be higher. So you just proved your own point. Like, no, see, I did these things. So that's amazing. That's healthy.
yeah. Well,
Then
and I mean,
don't
what would
come up
take
with those
you,
things.
sorry, right? Wait, like what would take you in the beginning 3 hours to do, and then a couple years down the road, because of you've grown your expertise and you've grown the value and you've grown what you've learned and the hacks and all that, might take you 30 minutes,
Yeah.
right? But you can get the same result or better. And
Yeah.
that's what people are investing in and they're seeing the value in, if you can get them there quicker and faster and with more value, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that, I mean, dollar amounts there, you can't put a dollar amount on that. And if you're looking at that's like X number of time, then you're still essentially looking at like I'm being paid for time.
Yeah.
And if you stay in that, like the 9 to 5 situation or the hourly situation, then you probably are never going to be someone that makes a lot of money. And that might sound really harsh, but you got to realize your value is what you decided it is
Yeah. So
and what
I
you
think
put
one of the
behind.
big
Yeah.
takeaways for anybody here is to be like, okay, whatever set point you're at now, whether you're making 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, there's always a new set point, right?
Yeah.
There's always another growth level. There's always the imposter syndrome that comes up. And we are constantly working on those pieces, right? Those money blocks that you were mentioning earlier. It's like a never ending cycle.
It is a never ending cycle.
Is that what you would say is like every time you are growing one of your businesses online or whatever you're doing, investing in real estate, are you always going back to those same kind of money blueprints?
Yeah. I mean, I just get curious because my fallback is people pleasing. This is stuff that like is what my brain wants to do. Even still, even though done so much work on myself, it's like people pleasing. It's scarcity. It's not enough. It's like I still struggle with those and I still wrestle with those. So it's like, okay, why am I choosing to believe that right now? That's not true. What is true for me now? What do I believe about it now? So it's like coming back and saying, okay, or even having a bridge thought. I'm doing things differently and I trust myself now. I'm not her anymore. So that's kind of what I do when it comes to money. And I remember the first time where me and my husband looked at each other, we're like, oh my gosh, it just happened because we were waiting for some money to be like deposited into our account. We're like, we're now millionaires. Like, I mean, it was literally crazy. We're just like, oh, and we thought we were going to feel different. It was this big goal that we had for all these years. We're like, oh, this is going to feel so different. And we were sitting in bed when I like showed the phone over to him that we had hit the goal, I was like, look, and he's like, just looking at me and I'm just looking at him. And I was like, I don't feel any different. This feels weird. And he's like, it does feel weird. It's kind of weird, but then we're like, but also our work's not done. Cause almost like you feel like you hit these levels, like, oh, once I make $100,000 in my business, things are going to be great.
Yeah.
And then you get there and you're like, oh, wait, what's next? And then you
Mhm.
hit 2,000, oh, what's next? And then it doesn't change. It's like, and then you realize, well, what else can I do? And my work is not done. And that's just it. It's like, it's not necessarily the money is great, and it does create this amazing lifestyle, but it's like the money is almost a symbol of what you can do for other people.
Yeah.
It's like,
It,
wow.
it really is. And that, is partly why the title of the podcast is Creating Powerful Impact. right? As we create more and more impact in the world, we're blessed more and more, and we're able to do and serve and support more people and grow ourselves in the process.
Absolutely.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Well, this has been amazing. I would love for you to talk a little bit more about the gift that you have for us and what's entailed in it and what they will be working on through that gift.
Okay, perfect. So it is, it's 5 secrets to healing your money, like to become a money magnet, heal your money blocks and become a money magnet. And it's different than a lot of people when they read stuff like this, because it takes you through like the healing first, so that when you start to do mantras or different things, they actually stick. Because if you have unhealed problems or thoughts and beliefs around money, then it's really not going to happen for you. So this gift is something that really can take you months as you're uncovering new beliefs. But as you do, it helps you become very aware of money. And in so many clients that I've worked with, they have gotten so excited. We're like, oh my gosh, things are coming in. Like, I just got this massive payout from this company I didn't know was coming, or I just got this gift card. It makes you very aware of the money that's coming in and how to be grateful for that. And when you are grateful for it, you get blessed with more. And so it's just teaching you how to basically help that money avenue work, that money channel work towards you and for you instead of against you. So I actually love it. And I still use the principles in that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, holding on to this pen here and I'm like gripping it really, really hard, right? But when I loosen my grip, then it can kind of fall through my hand. The same thing is like with money. And you were saying like having it be a river and a flood of it coming through. You can't hold on to it so tightly that nothing can come in or out, but you have to like open it up and let it flow because it's energy and energy needs to move. So I love that. Okay, I'm excited to take a look at it and dive into that. So click on the link in the show notes to pick up your gift there. My last question for you, Amy. What is a takeaway or a memorable note you'd like to leave our audience with today?
I think I've partially already said it, but I just want to tell you that, again, if something is on your heart, if you are in the trenches and you are building this business and it's like not going exactly how you want it to go, that's normal. That's how things work. But get curious, ask questions, but keep going. Just keep on to that grit, keep going, because whatever is on your heart, you absolutely can build. It is there for a reason. And if it's on your heart, then that is your mission. And so lean into that and draw from that power when things get hard, and then it will help you find the way.
Beautiful. And reach out for support because you don't have to do it on your own.
Also that.
Right. So thank you, Amy, for joining us here today. And I want to thank our audience for joining us on another episode of Creating Powerful Impact. I'm excited for you to take all these lessons and these resources that you've learned here today, actually start implementing them so that you can create even more impact in your world. Until next time, have an outstanding rest of your day. Take care.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Creating Powerful Impact podcast. If you are a successful coach, speaker, author, or thought leader who would like to be on this program, simply visit creatingpowerfulimpact.com/guest. If you are someone who got something out of this interview, would you please do me a favor and share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on your socials. Also, if you know somebody that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Creating Powerful Impact. I love seeing all of your posts and great guest selections. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, go ahead and subscribe. Your thumbs up ratings and reviews go a long way to help promote the show, and they really mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more about us? Head on over to our website, graceandeaseproductions.com, or follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. Just look for Grace and Ease Productions on your favorite platform. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.